All right, YouTube, it's time we talk about testosterone. You guys all know what testosterone is. I think we've all heard of testosterone, how it's like the male sex hormone and all that good stuff. And in my opinion, it is the most crucial hormone that us guys have. So testosterone is basically going to regulate your sex drive. It's going to help you put on muscle / like retain muscle if you're dieting, increase strength. It's going to help out with your sleep. It's going to help out with like your blood cells, your sperm count, just like a ton of stuff. So obviously testosterone is something that you guys want to have as much as you possibly can of naturally, of course. If you have to take like TRT, which is basically supplementing testosterone you're getting from your doctor because your body doesn't produce it enough, then that might be a route you want to go down, but that's a whole separate video. So basically, if you're natural, you want your testosterone or test levels to be as high as humanly possible. One thing that I don't think a lot of people know is that if you actually go into a cutting phase or you go into a dieting phase, depending on how restrictive you are with your diet in terms of like calories, you can actually dramatically just slash your test levels. You know, you can cut them in half, cut them in quarter, sometimes even lower. You can basically mess up your hormones, your testosterone pretty bad. And basically your body is kind of like in a semi-starvation mode when you're really slashing down the calories, so it's not prioritizing or making as much of its hormones like testosterone that it should be. But this is actually completely normal, so don't get too alarmed if you just went on like a diet, you got your blood work done and your test levels aren't looking that good. No need to be concerned, guys. Not quite yet, at least, right? So some signs and symptoms that you might be experiencing if you do have low testosterone would be, well, trouble sleeping. The main one's gonna be like really low libido, low sex drive. You might be like a little bit moody. You might not be putting on muscle despite, really giving it your all in the gym and eating enough protein. You might just be a little bit more emotional. So the reason why your testosterone is gonna get lower as you cut is because, well, the main and most obvious reason, you're intaking less nutrients into your body. So that's something that is very vital for producing hormones and testosterone, like essential fats. You're gonna be eating less fats, you're gonna be eating less carbohydrates. So you're kind of depriving your body of some key nutrients it will need to, create testosterone. You can always keep the healthy fats higher and try to let your body produce as much hormones as it can from like the healthy fats, because as I said before, healthy fats are very essential for producing testosterone, but that's really only so much you can do. It's still gonna drop if you're dieting really hard. No matter if you keep your fats at like 80 grams a day, your testosterone's still gonna take a hit. There's not really much you can do to prevent it besides go easier on your diet, not lose weight as fast. That's like the really only true fire way you can prevent it. When you're cutting as well, you're really putting a lot of stress on your body, not just physical stress, but mental stress. So your body doesn't really want you to work out. And when you are working out, you're helping it hang onto that tissue, but you're also providing another stimulus, which is stress to your muscles and stuff like that. It's just another thing for your body to deal with. Obviously you want to work out while you're cutting, but it's pretty stressful on the body to be trying to hang on to tissue when it doesn't want to and it's trying to lose weight. As well as, because of these stress levels, you're most likely not going to be sleeping quite as much, and stress it's not a good thing for the body. So it doesn't optimize your hormones. Obviously, if you're stressed out, you're just going to have lower testosterone in general. And when you're cutting, your body's kind of under stress. So it goes hand in hand there. The good news is there's a lot of strategies out there if you're worried about your test levels crashing, or maybe they already have crashed or something like that. There's some strategies you can implement while you're cutting for your next cut, to try to retain as much testosterone. So the top one, and I already talked about this, be careful with your fat intake. You want to closely monitor your fat intake, especially if you're dieting hard, especially if you're losing a pound or more a week, which is a really fast cut. So you want to track your fat intake and make sure you're getting enough healthy fats in there. I always say at least 60 grams a day while you're cutting of fats in your diet, and healthy fats too. So like nuts, nut butters, fatty fish, egg yolks, all that good stuff. We want the healthy fats because that's what's going to produce the test. Also, guys, the diet itself, like the calorie intake itself, is going to have a related effect on the testosterone. For instance, if you're in a really steep calorie deficit, like 1,000 calories, and you're doing that for a prolonged period of time with no breaks in between, that's gonna have a lot more negative consequences on your testosterone versus if you're just in like a 200 to 300 calorie deficit and you were taking, diet breaks and you're stretching out the diet over a good amount of time, giving yourself enough time to really diet down. That's gonna have a lot less consequences on your testosterone. Also guys, protein intake, you're gonna wanna keep that high. Not only is that gonna preserve your muscle, and by preserving muscle, you're actually preserving testosterone also, which is kind of cool. So the more muscle that you hang on to, the more testosterone you're basically gonna hang on to. But it's also gonna balance out your hormones. So you wanna keep your protein to at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. If not higher, that's really up to you, but at least 1 gram per pound. As well as you wanna balance your cardio and your weight training. So if you're really prioritizing retaining as much muscle as possible, I'd say to do no more than half the amount of cardio as weight training that you're doing. So if you're doing an hour a day of weights, I'd say do like a half hour of cardio or less. You want to balance that out, and that's also going to help you to preserve your testosterone levels, balancing out those two stressors, right? You don't want like too much cardio or something like that. All right, now moving on to the next section, I want to go over the importance of sleep and how sleep can drastically help you with testosterone. It can help you while you're cutting, hang on to more muscle tissue, and actually lose more fat, and it just has a ton of other benefits too. So sleep is one of the most overlooked things when it comes to bodybuilding. It's super important, just like training's important, getting in your protein's important, recovering. Sleep is a huge factor in that as well. And actually guys, if you get under 6 hours of sleep, so if you get like 5 hours of sleep or something, it's going to reduce your testosterone by, if you were an additional 10 years older, you're gonna have similar testosterone levels. So you wanna really watch out for that, and you wanna be sleeping in as much as you can. If you have to take melatonin at night, that could be a good option. Another good way would just be laying in bed and kind of just chilling out there and relaxing and trying to really get sleep, like laying in your bed and waiting till you actually get kind of tired and maybe doing something relaxing, reading a book, something like that. As well as managing your stress. You don't want to be stressed out all the time. Your body can't really build muscle as well when it's stressed, and you're going to be burning through muscle a lot faster if you're cutting and you're actually stressed out. So you definitely want to do some stress relieving exercises. Maybe take, like, if you're really busy with work or something, take like a weekend off here and there, just to chill out. And you should have a day where you're basically doing nothing. I think that's pretty healthy for everybody. Not too often, obviously. You don't want to get behind in life, but you kind of want a day where you're just chilling out, really nothing planned, nothing that you have to worry about that's going to stress you out. You have the whole day to just do whatever you want, no responsibilities. So that's a really good way that I like to kind of relieve stress. You can also work on meditating and breathing. Not only is it going to reduce your stress, but it's going to have a ton of other health benefits. It's going to improve your memory. It's going to make you more present, so you're going to experience, the human experience more fully, right? So stress is something that you really want to avoid. It's something that's pretty hard to avoid, especially in our day and age with just so much going on and people really just being behind like computers and stuff like that all day. It's kind of hard to relieve stress. For me right now, where I'm at, it's actually winter time, but if where you are, it's sunny out and you can go outside and get some sunlight, then that's something good. Going on walks outside is always good, or on the treadmill at the gym. That can help lower your stress as well. Talked about cardio before, how it's really important, has a ton of health benefits and also mental benefits as well. So just try to keep your stress to a minimum. You guys can look up a lot of other stress relieving exercises. Sleep and all that stuff's gonna tie into having lower stress as well. Next, guys, I want to talk about rest days. So rest days is something that you need at bare minimum 1 of a week. You always want, I'd say, between 1 and 3 rest days. You always want at least 1 rest day every week though. I've made the mistake of not taking a rest day, and it actually sets you back really far. So you always want at least 1 rest day a week. And don't think of it as a rest day. Think of it as like a recovery day that's going to help set you up to make more long-term progress in the future. Use it as a way to maybe lower your stress. So maybe on your rest day, that's the day you don't go to the gym. So you just do fun activities that's nice and relaxing. So you can use that as a way to lower your stress. And that's actually going to help you out in the long run because you're going to feel a lot more recovered. You're not going to feel as beat up. It's also going to like refresh your mind too. So that's the nice part about having a rest day, is it rejuvenates your mind so you're ready to go harder again when the next week rolls around or when your next training session comes up. So I've recently switched to taking at least one rest day every week. I used to not, and then, I kind of noticed I wasn't feeling as motivated and stuff like that. I was feeling recovered every time, but my actual drive for the gym was a lot worse. I think it was making me sleep a little bit less too, which is kind of weird. So now I'm implementing one rest day a week. I think it's going to do wonders for me, guys. So I'd suggest everybody have at least one rest day per week, if not two, maybe even three, depending on how you feel. You just gotta feel it out for yourself, find out what works for you, but at least one. And guys, if you can get your blood work done before you start a diet and after you finish the diet, and then just more throughout the year, ideally once every month. I know it's kind of hard to afford sometimes, but if you guys can get your blood work done just as much as you can, honestly, it can give you a good idea of what you're doing is working in terms of testosterone, what's not working. If you're cutting and if you just finish cutting, just know it's never going to be as high as when you're bulking, and vice versa. If you bulk and you just get super fat and you're eating garbage all day, that can lower it. When you're healthiest, when you're eating clean and you're at a good body fat percentage and you're just gaining weight really slowly, that's when it's going to be the highest. It's pretty easy to kind of feel out what your test levels is at. You can kind of feel it, like you guys know what I'm talking about. When you just get done cutting or you are cutting, you just feel mentally drained. You have no drive, no libido. So you can kind of feel it out that way, but it is best to always get your blood work done because it just shows you so much. And honestly, everybody should get their blood work done at least once. It just tells you so much. You might have some like underlying health condition or deficiency in like a vitamin or mineral or something like that you can actually find out. So definitely get your blood work done at least once in your life, but preferably like once every couple months, once a month, something like that, or even once a year, just as much as you can. I know it's expensive, guys, but it is a good thing to invest in because you're investing in yourself and your health at the end of the day, which is pretty important, right? And obviously I just got my blood work done and my testosterone levels, it was right after I got done cutting. I went on a 1 month cut of about a 700 calorie deficit. So I was losing over a pound a week, which is a pretty aggressive cut. But that's how I like to do it because I like to cut as least amount as possible in bulk for as much time as possible. But it's definitely not ideal for your testosterone to be cutting that hard. So if you don't want to crash your test, might be a good idea for you guys to take the diet a little bit slower. But after I got done cutting, I got my blood work done about a week after, and my test levels were in the 200s, the upper 200s, right? Which is really not good at all. But that's just kind of how it is when you're natural. And like I said, it was definitely because I slashed my calories too low for too long. You can diet for over a month with that low of calories. You actually will still hang on to a lot of your muscle even with that low of testosterone levels, but you definitely want them as high as possible. And 290, guys, that is super, super low. So I'm 22 years old, so my testosterone levels should be at their peak. I should be around like 600 to 900. So that's just been my experience with it. I know my test levels now are a lot higher. I haven't had blood work done since then. That was about 2 weeks ago, but my testosterone levels have definitely went up since then. I'm eating a lot more food. I'm resting a lot more. I'm a lot less stressed. So that's 3 things that's really helped me recover my testosterone levels. And they're most likely still recovering, so they'll probably still go up a ways. But at the end of the day, that's just kind of the name of the game when it comes to being natural. When you diet down, you're not going to be the healthiest. Your testosterone levels are going to suffer, especially if you're dieting down to a super low body fat, you're competing in a show or something like that. It's inevitable that your test levels are going to drop, or if you're cutting really hard. So if you want to, you can take the cut a lot slower if you're worried about your test levels dropping, and also not get a ridiculous low level of body fat. They say that anything under 10% is really gonna tank your test levels. You can't really maintain a healthy testosterone level under 10% body fat. So you might not want to cut much lower than 10%, but if you are, just take it nice and slow, and I think you'll be okay. All right, guys, so we're just gonna kind of recap here. So testosterone is important. We always want it as high as possible. When you cut, especially if you're doing a really aggressive cut, or you're cutting for a really long time, or you're cutting to a super, super low level of body fat, your testosterone's inevitably gonna tank. That's just how it goes when you're natural. A lot of things that can contribute to it while you're cutting is gonna be like the low fat intake, the not the best sleep, being stressed out, and sometimes even overtraining, not taking rest days and stuff like that, and you're missing out on some key nutrients. But we can maintain it by eating a healthy diet with a lot of healthy fats, taking the diet nice and slow, maybe even doing like a diet break if you plan on doing a long cut like that, keeping the protein high, not doing crazy amounts of cardio or insane workouts, because remember, when you're cutting, you're just trying to maintain your muscle. You're really not going to grow any muscle if you've been going to the gym for like a year or two or anything past that. You're just trying to hang on to what you have. And you want to sleep as much as possible. Prioritize recovery, because recovery is where your testosterone is really going to recover. Get your blood work done if you can. And remember, guys, you always want to do something that's sustainable. If you're doing a diet or something like that, or you're absolutely messing up your hormones and it's destroying your life, that's not sustainable. So obviously you want to do something that you know is healthy, and that you're always thinking of what's going to be the effect of this long term. You can obviously recover your testosterone levels. It might just take a while, but that's something that you really have to think about and decide for yourself if you're willing to take that hit just to lose some more fat, or lose fat really fast because you want really rapid results. So that's something that you have to really think about and keep in mind. You have to do, at the end of the day, what's going to make you happy. And what's going to make you happy for 99% of people is going to be what you get in the long term and what you really get to reap the benefits from in the future. So be safe with cutting, guys. Try to stay healthy. Try not to mess up your testosterone levels too much like I did. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like this video. Please comment. Please subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next. Thank you, boys. Peace.